Hi, Nick from Nick's Boat Work here. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to perform a small fiberglass and gel coat repair on this Sea-Doo. Let's take a look at the damage. We are on the lower port side. There's a small hole. It looks almost like a hole has been drilled. It's at least an inch, it's 1 to 2 inches deep. I don't think it goes all the way through the hull. But it needs to be fixed. I'll begin the repair process by dremeling the damaged area to remove any loose pieces or emanating cracks, and just to kind of give it a nice clean rough surface for the repair compound and new gel coat to bond to. And I'm also going to be sanding around the area a little bit so that the gel coat can bond to the whole surface. Now I'm going to be preparing the repair compound. It's a pretty simple polyester-based repair compound with polyester resin, a little bit of thiotropic powder, that's a thickening agent so that it doesn't run out of the hole, and microfibers, that's going to give it some strength. I've got a little bit of polyester resin here in a cup. I'm going to mix some MEKP first, that's the catalyst. I'm mixing that first because I'm going to do this repair in a day. I want it to hurry up and cure. I don't need a lot of working time. It's one very small hole. I only need a minute or two of working time. So I'm going to put the catalyst in first and then add these two kind of back and forth until I achieve the consistency that I'm looking for. I'm using masking gloves for protection. Now I've pre-mixed the catalyst, and the resin has turned from a green to a brown color. Now I've achieved the desired consistency for the repair compound. I want it to be just thick enough so that it doesn't fall off the stick when I hold the stick up like this sideways, but I want it to be liquid enough that it can flow through a syringe, because I'm going to be putting this in a syringe to inject into the hole. So now this is working just like I want it to. It's flowing through the syringe nicely. Okay, now that the hole is filled with the repair compound, I'm gonna give this a little bit of time and a little bit of heat and let it cure a little bit, and not fully. Scuff it with some sandpaper, we'll match the gel coat, and then get the gel coat applied. Now I'm going to tint the gel coat. This is an off-white, it's got mostly brown as a coloring agent. I'm using just a small amount of gel coat because it's a very small repair, so I'm going to use a very small amount of brown coloring agent. And I'm going to mix the brown coloring agent with some white gel coat just to kind of thin it out a little bit. And I'll start by putting a dab of the white gel coat on a test area, and then adding a little bit of tint, a little bit at a time, and putting another dab on there, and you'll see when finished. Okay, now let's take a look at the gel coat matching process here. Here you can see I started out with plain white, and then I added a little bit of brown, then I added some gray, and then I added a little bit of gold to achieve, which is, it's not going to be a perfect match, but it's going to be close. And this repair is on the bottom, so it should be close enough that it's not noticeable. Now I'm going to catalyze the gel coat. I'm going to use a very small amount of gel coat at a time. I'm going to catalyze it with about 3% MEKP. I'm going to measure a small amount of gel coat and a small amount of MEKP accurately by measuring the gel coat with a small medicine cup and the catalyst with a small syringe that can measure in fractions of a cc. I'll be catalyzing the gel coat with MEKP for the first couple of coats. It'll probably take 3 coats to get this gouge completely filled in, or the top of it with gel coat. And then I'll be adding a wax additive for the last coat. You don't want to add the wax additive for any of the coats except for the last coat, because it will stop the successive coats from bonding to the previous coats. If you do add it to the previous coats. Okay, now I'm going to mix up and apply the second coat with a little squeegee, just like I did the first coat, and this is going to be catalyzed with MEKP, but not going to be adding the wax additive until the last coat. This is the second coat, no wax additive on this one. Okay, here's what it looks like after the second coat. I've got the little kind of crater there pretty much filled in at this point. That's after 2 coats squeegeeing. And then on the next coat, I'm going to be adding, the last coat, I'm going to be adding the wax additive. So the third coat is going to be done with wax additive and a brush. And I'm going to build it up a little bit over the top so that I can sand it down. The first 2 coats will come with the squeegee. However, even after the first 2 coats, it's not going to be built up to the point where it's level with the surrounding gel coat, because polyester compounds shrink with the cure. The polyester resin, polyester gel coat, it's going to shrink a little bit, and therefore it's going to be needed to build up a little bit extra. Okay, here's what it looks like after the last coat. The last coat, I want to, it's rough. It's supposed to look rough. It's not supposed to look smooth after application. Gel coat is a resin. It's not paint. It's not supposed to be smooth. You're supposed to build it up higher than the surrounding surface, and then wet sand and or wet sand it down flat, and then buff it to a shine. Now, after curing overnight, I'm going to be sanding, wet sanding, and buffing the cured gel coat. I'm going to begin by sanding it with some 220 grit sandpaper, and then I'll probably go to 500, 1,000, and then probably finish off with some 1,500 wet sandpaper. And then after wet sanding, I'll hit it with the buffer, which will bring it up to a nice shine. I think I was able to achieve a pretty good match on this one, so I think it's going to not be very noticeable. So let's have a look. Okay, now the repair is complete and you can't see it at all. That's a perfect match. I know it's kind of difficult with the camera, the cell phone camera here, to really tell, but you really can't see this repair at all. So I kind of got lucky. I just kind of threw some tint in there, and I didn't expect, and I told the customer that this wasn't going to be a perfect match, but turns out it is. Now that I'm all finished with the repair, another high quality repair by Nick's Boatwork, I'll go over a short review of the process. It began with grinding, cleaning, and preparing the damaged area for repair compound application. Then I mixed up a custom repair compound for the ideal consistency for this repair, and then injected and applied the repair compound, allowed that to cure, sanded and cleaned the repair compound area, and then applied 3 coats of gel coat with no wax in the first 2 coats and wax on the 3rd coat to achieve full cure. Allowed that to cure overnight, and then wet sanded, and buffed the cured gel coat to a shine. Oh, and then let's also not forget matching the gel coat to achieve with 3 different tints: brown, gray, and gold tint, to achieve the perfect match for this vessel. So as you can see, there's a lot that goes into even a small repair. All right, I'm all finished here, and this is just another high quality repair done by Nick's Boatwork.